Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, Kanishka and I are making a video previewing the 2018 Canadian National Figure Skating Championships, and that is why we have on our Skate Canada shirts, as you can see. I gave Kanishka the shirt that he's wearing today that I purchased a few years ago from Skate Canada in Kelowna, British Columbia, and the one I'm wearing today was purchased at Regina this past season. So before we get started, Kanishka, I have a question for you. Do you think I give off a Canadian vibe?
Well, if your favorite lady skater from Canada is Gabrielle Daleman, then I would say yes.
Okay, the reason why I wanted to ask you is because the most common comment I get from people when I travel to different skating competitions is that they assume that I was Canadian. And I'm like, nope, born and raised in Seattle. However, I'm very pro Team North America. But I do have a certain level of love and respect for both Canadian skaters and Canadian skating fans. So I think it's a compliment that some people think that I give off a Canadian vibe. And second thing I wanted to say was, you know this, Kanishka, but if you're not following me on social media, I actually had intended on attending the Canadian National Championships in Vancouver because it's such a short drive from Seattle. However, I had an opportunity at work come up that I just could not pass up. I will be attending a program at Harvard University, so I'll be in Massachusetts in 2 weeks for about 2 months, and I'm just so excited. I am so sad, though, that I won't be there live in Vancouver to cheer on so loudly for Gabrielle Daleman. So if any of you are watching this video and you will be there, please give an extra shout out to her for me. And then Kanishka, let's go ahead and get started. What do you say?
Yeah, let's get started.
All right. Let's make this a casual discussion because I'm in a laid-back mood this morning. Let's start with the ladies. And this is going to be interesting because one of my favorite skaters is Gabrielle Daleman, and one of your favorite skaters is Kaetlyn Osmond. But let me tell you something, Kanishka. Canadian Nationals is not the Kaetlyn Osmond show. This is not... The competition is not all about her. My girl Gabby Daleman is pretty impressive with her jumps, and her short program is one of my favorites this season. What do you think?
I think it's a little too close to call. I'm a huge Kaetlyn Osmond fan, as many people know. However, this season has been so up and down, especially between the short program and the free skate for Kaetlyn, that I believe that at Canadian Nationals, that this may shock you that I might say this,
Okay.
but I think that Gabby Daleman will win the title.
Woo!
And I will explain. So, I think that Kaetlyn Osmond and her team are hoping to peak at the Olympic Games in February. And we are still unsure of whether Gabby Daleman will insert that rumored quad toe into her program. And I do believe that Gabby Daleman will end up shocking the world and Canadian figure skating by landing that quad toe and win the national championships ahead of Kaetlyn Osmond by a few points here and there. However, it won't be like, oh, now Kaetlyn Osmond, what's going to happen with her? So I think that they'll come first and second, but I think that Gabby will be the champion this year.
Well, I agree with you, and I think it's going to be really close. You know what? Kaetlyn and Gabby have a history of skating really well at nationals. I have a weird feeling this season because it's Olympic year and there's stress and there's pressure. They haven't had the best Grand Prix season. That Kaetlyn will make more mistakes in the long program than Gabby does. I'm not sure either will be perfect, but I think Gabby will narrowly win the competition, which will be good for her. Because is it just me, or is Kaetlyn getting more and more inconsistent as the season goes on in her long program? I expect them both to skate lights out in the short. The long program is where it's going to be at.
Yeah, like, even as a Kaetlyn Osmond fan, I could say that I'm not the hugest fan of this Black Swan free skate for her. And yeah, on competition ice, she hasn't been delivering the program up to the potential that everyone knows she can. Like, if you look back to the summer competitions, she was skating far better there to that same program than she is during the Grand Prix season, which makes me a little bit worried. But again, like everyone's name of the game right now is the Olympic Games, and hopefully that's where she delivers two strong free skates and perhaps takes a medal along to go along with it. So
she definitely has the potential to medal at the Olympics. No question about it. She will be named to the Olympic team. One last note I'd like to make on the Gabby Daleman versus Kaetlyn Osmond is that, of course, if both ladies are clean, Kaetlyn Osmond has the more difficult technical content, so she'll probably walk away with the title. She also scores a higher program component score than Gabby tends to. Also, it sounds like there may be a rumor that Gabby may be going back to her free program from last season, and if that's the case, I support her decision. I do like her gladiator long program this season. I could tell it's not everyone's cup of tea because of how slow the piece is. It's kind of a slow piece for such a powerful skater, but that short program, the Carmen and the French lyrics, I know a lot of people think it's cheesy, but I personally think that it fits her personality really well.
yeah, I like her short program to Carmen as well. I think that she brings a different flair to it. I think that that's important to do with each skater that skates to Carmen. We saw it with Michelle Kwan in 1999. There's so many. Sacha Cohen in 2002. And the list goes on and on and on. So she brings her own Gabby flair to it, and that's great to see. And I am one that was not the hugest fan of the Gladiator program, but whether she keeps it or not, I will continue to support her as her athletic type of skating is still very appealing to me. And yeah, we will see. Like, the great thing is that if she is going back to a program, she's going back to an old program and not creating something totally new, because that would make it even more challenging if she did that. So,
okay, the next skater we will talk about will be Alaine Chartrand, who most people are assuming will be named to the Olympic team because Canada has 3 spots for the ladies for the first time in decades. So many decades. I forgot the date. It must be like the 60s or 70s. I knew it back when the World Figure Skating Championships completed, but I forget it now. Alaine, does she deserve that spot based on how her season has been going so far? I mean, her Grand Prix competitions were not impressive.
yeah, this season she was struggling a lot. I'm not sure whether it was the pressure was getting to her because everyone assumes that she is the one that's going to get the 3rd spot. Yeah, I'm not sure how many of the other Canadian lady skaters even has the minimum requirements to make it to an Olympics. So it seems like this is like Elaine's spot to win or lose at this point. And she tends to skate better at Canadian Nationals, so I expect her to get the 3rd spot.
Depends on the season. This season, it's interesting. The last time I saw her skate so inconsistently was when she was attempting the triple axel. But listen, she's not doing that now. There's really, I don't know what the reason is for her to be missing some of her jumps. She used to be so good with that triple lutz, triple toe combination, and now she's missing different jumps left and right, and even under rotating. I'm not even sure I see a growth in her programs artistically. I just wish she could relax because she has a really good shot at making the team. Now let's move on to some of the other girls who could potentially make the podium, and then I'll tell you the surprise I was talking about. So I think we have 3. So there's Larkyn Austman, who's at Skate Canada International this season, Sarah Tamura, and then Michelle Long. Give me your impressions on any of those 3 skaters.
So I like Larkyn's look. I think that other podcasts have also said it. Like, she has like this like stunning lady look to her, and that's what I like about her. However, her jumps, well, let's just say that she doesn't have the same arsenal of triple jumps that the other 3 skaters that we discussed previously have.
Even her technique is off on the jumps that she does have.
Definitely. And I think the same is kind of true for Sarah Tamura and also Michelle Long. So they have potential. However, really, like, the sport is like progressing in the technical content. Like, the men are doing multiple quads nowadays. The girls have to do a triple triple, preferably with either a triple flip, triple toe, or triple Lutz, triple toe if you want to compete with the top guns. So I don't know. As of right now, Justin, I don't really have too much commentary to talk about them. However, since this season's heading towards its climax and end, I hope that as the seasons go on for the next cycle, that they push themselves technically and get those more difficult triples in their arsenal so they can compete with the best.
Okay, I will give you some of my commentary. I don't have much to say, I have very few. So you know this. From the very beginning, I think I preferred Sarah Tamura. She impressed me as a junior skater, and I just assumed she would gain consistency in her jump as a senior. That hasn't happened. I had hope in her because she at least attempted the triple Lutz and sometimes was able to land them, unlike Larkyn Austman. So I was a little bummed out when Larkyn was selected for Skate Canada International instead of Sarah Tamura. But Canada just recently had the 2018 Skate Canada Challenge, is what they call it, leading up to the Canadian National Championships. And Sarah Tamura plays so low, so I'm not sure what's going on, but her jumps seem to be out, and her program component marks are also extremely low because she doesn't have the maturity on the ice yet. So I think she's out. Larkyn Austman, there's no consistency on the jumps. The jumps she does have are not the higher / more difficult jumps. I think she's out. So that leaves Michelle Long, who has had some good performances in the past. Those performances at Nationals, I think it was 2 years ago she had a really good Nationals, have not translated on international ice. But out of those three, I would put my money on Michelle Long just because she's had a little more international experience than some of the other girls, and who knows, that may benefit her at the right place at the right time sometime in the near future. And then my surprise to you, Kanishka, is there is a Canadian lady skater named Aurora Cotop, so Cotop, and she is the reigning Canadian junior national champion. And this season she competed internationally as a junior, but it sounds like she'll be competing as a senior at nationals, and I think she will be a dark horse for the podium. And let me tell you something, I like her a lot. I think she could potentially be a future girl of mine. There's something about her that draws me in. You can't look at her results, you have to look at her skating, because she's not very consistent, but you can tell that she has good technique on her jumps. She does some more difficult content, and when she makes a mistake on a jump, it's kind of like you could tell it's a fluke, like she popped it or the timing was off, not necessarily that she has bad technique or she doesn't know how to complete the jump, such as Larkyn Austman. Her movement over the ice is so effortless. She looks really comfortable, good spins, and she has the least amount of improvement needed in terms of basic skating qualities than the other three we just mentioned. So check her out, you Kanishka and all of you skating fans watching. Aurora Cotop. I'm saying it right now, she's the future of Canadian ladies skating. And she's only 15, so I'm thinking about the next Olympic quad here.
When did she turn 15?
Oh, I don't know that exact part. So
yeah, because I don't know if she's eligible.
But she would have to get the minimum scores as a senior international, and she's only competed as a junior internationally. So, I mean, you never know. But I expect her to be fourth here at Canadian Nationals. Her and Michelle Long, fourth and fifth.
Did you get your medal in Canada? I don't even know.
No, that's a United States thing.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, are you ready to move on to the men's?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so I think we can all agree on this. Patrick Chan will skate away with the gold medal here. I believe he's going to win, but I'm not sure how he'll skate. It'll be interesting to see what his game plan is because he withdrew from his second Grand Prix event to focus on training for nationals. I'm wondering if he'll go all out in his free program to try to get all those quads out. I think he's going for three, two quad toes and one quad sal.
Something like that, yep.
How do you think he'll do?
So every time I say that Patrick is not going to do well, he does well. When I tell Patrick that he's going to do well, then he messes up.
Why?
So, I don't know. It just seems to work that way. So, I think that Patrick will do well here at Canadian Nationals. However, I do think there are going to be other skaters that are going to be knocking on his door and saying, like, you better land all those jumps or I am coming after you. And I think that Nicolas Nadeau, who's my favorite Canadian skater, Canadian male skater, I should add, has the potential to perhaps be a dark horse here. He showed it on the Grand Prix. He only got one Grand Prix, I believe, but he was able to land that quad toe, which was surprising to some people because he just came off the junior scene, and here he is competing at a senior Grand Prix and landing that jump. So I think that this is Patrick's to win or lose. However, I think that Nicolas Nadeau will be right there in case he makes a lot of mistakes.
I don't even consider Nicolas Nadeau a dark horse. I think he will win the silver medal. And I think he will be selected to the Olympic team.
He better.
He has the big jumps. He's a crowd pleaser with that Elvis long program. He's attempting multiple quads. Yes, he still has refinement in his programs. You know, some of his jumps are pretty telegraphed, and sometimes that doesn't even help him land the jumps. But when he does land on one feet, his jumps are so beautiful. You could tell it has so much control. I have a good feeling about how he'll do at nationals.
Yeah, like when I first saw him skate last year at Canadian Nationals, I knew there was something special about him. Like he has this charisma about him that he was able to project onto the ice and to the audience. And we had to remember, like, yes, skating is also a technical sport, but it's also an artistic sport. And if you can bring out that much energy and joy to an audience, I don't know, that kind of secures a little bit of program components if I were a judge. So, as you were saying, Justin, I do think that Nick Nadeau, if he skates how we all know he can, he should be able to get that second spot for the Olympics. Mm-hmm. However, there's so many lists of names that we can put in for that silver and second spot. But I'll let you begin.
Yeah, the interesting thing about Nicolas Nadeau, though, is that at the 2018 Skate Canada Challenge, I'm going to reference that a lot because I just looked at the results, by the way. Nicolas Nadeau was there, but he was second in both the short and the long program. So we'll talk about him later. He's a new name that I also like. But yeah, I think he just needs to land the quads. At least he seems to get the rotations, though. And if he falls on his quad attempts, he needs to make sure he lands the other intended triples. That's going to be really important at nationals. Okay, so I did not think about who would win the bronze medal here. I think it will be between Liam Firus or Nam Nguyen or Kevin Reynolds. Let me start by talking about Kevin. The reason why I put Kevin ahead of the pack for winning the bronze medal is he has the highest scoring potential in terms of the technical because of all of the quad jumps that he attempts. Whether or not he does them well is a totally different story. He just needs to make sure he gets those rotations. And when the quads are off, I feel like his programs tend to look sloppy. So I'm just not sure which Kevin Reynolds will show up to nationals this year. He is a former Olympian. I'm not sure if that'll help give him extra drive to do well at this particular national championships. Or I'm not sure if he'll, I don't know, be out of his head a little bit. How do you think he'll do?
The sad thing is, like, even if he wins a bronze medal, there's only 2 spots for the Olympic team for the men's for Canada this year. But Kevin Reynolds does have a lot more international experience than a lot of other Canadian men. And he, as you said, he has competed at the Olympic stage before. Even his quads as of late have been looking somewhat inconsistent. I think that, I don't know, as someone who has watched this, like, skating over the years, I kind of wish that he kind of refined some of his, like, skating a little bit more. Like, I would probably, like, do something with the hair and maybe give him a different look, like, if he decides to compete further on after the season. But his chances of getting a bronze medal is right up there. He does have the highest technical content of the three that you mentioned. Yeah, it'll all come down to jumps, I think, for those three that you mentioned.
Yeah, you know who else has a high potential based on jump content is Nam Nguyen. But Nam, poor guy, for whatever reason, not whatever reason, we can discuss why. He attempts so many quads in his recent competitions, but he places so low. I think he tends to have some really hard falls and he gets under rotations. And I'm sorry, in the past few years, his program component marks have not gone up from when he debuted on the senior stage. You know, I just don't see the improvement in his raw skating skills, and it's not working in his favor that some of his male teammates are super artistic, like Liam Firus, Patrick Chan, even I think Nicolas Nadeau is ahead of Nam Nguyen in terms of edge quality, you know, control of the blade, the speed and gliding across the ice. Nam Nguyen sometimes comes off extremely slow for some of the big jumps he's trying to pull off. I don't expect him to make the podium this year.
Yeah, it's a tough one because we first took notice of Nam Nguyen back at the 2015 World Championships in China. I remember, like, he was like the, I don't know, he was like the cute little adorable kid that was always featured in everyone's kiss and cry because he was leading for so long. It seems like ever since then he has struggled tremendously. Like, I think the next year he was selected for the world team over Liam Ferris because Liam gave up that spot hoping to qualify three men for the next year. However, he didn't even make it past the short program.
I was there.
So,
it was heartbreaking.
so it seems like Nam has been struggling with something. I'm not sure if it's injuries or just consistency or nerves, whatever it may be. He needs to figure that out because he has all that potential, but it seems like all that potential is kind of going to waste at this point. I'm sorry that sounds kind of harsh, but that's coming from someone who wants to see him do well. I know he moved out west here, and it doesn't seem like nothing is really working in his favor.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's still out west, by the way.
Okay, it's like 5.
You know, I think we had such high expectations because I believe his first senior international was the Skate America, you know, before the 2015 World, so it'd be 2014 Skate America, and he won the silver medal, and I think even that year he was the national champion because Patrick Chan was not competing, so there were some high hopes for Nam Nguyen. Unfortunately, the results did not follow. Speaking of Patrick Chan, the next skater, Liam Firus, I believe he will score the second highest program component marks in the competition. His skating is so beautiful. He's just like right underneath Patrick Chan in skating skills. Deep edges, great flow. Like, who cares if he misses a jump or two? But sometimes he misses quite a bit. He does attempt the quad. That's not very consistent. And even the triple axel gives him some problems. So I worry about his consistency in competitions. What about you?
I agree. Like, Liam Ferris does have great skating skills. I think that you cannot deny that. But I have a quick question for you.
Okay.
If he lands the triple axel and lands the quad and lands all the other triple jumps, how does that factor into second? Because a lot of people say Nick Nadeau is still a little bit juniorish, even though his Elvis program is great. Does maturity outweigh the technical, or how would you go about placing Liam if he skates the way that perfectly with everything in there?
You know what? So if he's clean, short and long, I think second place. And I think he would be sent to the Olympics because I don't think Canada wants to be very controversial with their Olympic team selections. And we've seen from other national championships so far, it's like the Japanese nationals and Russian nationals, which, by the way, people, sorry, I won't be covering. So busy and so little time in my life right now. But it seems like a lot of federations, besides the US, will be going with the results at nationals. I expect Canada to be the exact same, unless Patrick Chan is third for whatever reason. But no, so I think whoever will be second, and that would be a bummer. I think they should at least consider it if Nicolas Nadeau is third and it's close, just because Liam has had an extensive career internationally, but he has never performed, from my memory, to the best of his ability there. And I would send Nicolas Nadeau in hopes that he would skate the best that he ever does at the Olympics. We'll see, but I think I would go with the results at nationals.
Yeah, it doesn't look like anyone's withdrawing at this point from Canada. So, like, I think in previous nationals, just to touch base on just the Russian nationals and Japanese nationals, very quick, I promise. Like, there's always at least one. Yeah, there's always at least one skater who was vying for an Olympic spot that was named to the team after they withdrew. In Russia, it was Evgenia Medvedeva, the twice world champion. And then in Japan, it was Yuzu Hanyu. So it looks like Canada is going all out here, no withdrawals as far as what we can tell. And I think that the results will speak for itself as far as who's going to be named to the team.
That's right. Who is another male skater that you wanted to mention? I feel bad I can never pronounce his name, and I would butcher it.
Oh, you're making me butcher the name, huh?
Okay, you want me to try?
You can try it. I'll be like, yeah, that's the skater.
Okay, Elaj Balde?
I hope that's correct. Yeah, I know who you're referencing to. He used to skate out in Detroit. I'm not sure if he's still in Detroit, but I know that that's where he was training. Very, like, he knows how to project to an audience. Like, I think the Canadian broadcasters always mention it, how, like, there's something about him that's so likable. However, his jumps have kind of, like, been getting the better of him. It was, I don't know, it's probably something in Detroit, because it seems like a lot of Detroit skaters are also struggling with their jumps. Sorry, no shade there, I promise, but that's just something I've observed. You guys need to train out here in California or something. But it seems
he's
like
also an entertainer.
But inconsistent on those jumps. But they always say, like, he's always a contender for the medals. So hopefully he skates well so he can make that national team that they always reference in Canadian commentary during the nationals. You know, like, even more so than just the podium, they want to be placed, like, in the top 6 or something. So you get the
top
international
5 or 6, yeah.
Yeah. So I hope he skates well. I know, like, he's kind of, like, coming to the end of his career, it seems like. And I don't know. I like supporting the skaters that are getting older because I know it's a lot more difficult for them to land those difficult triple jumps, or quad jumps.
Yeah.
At times.
At least Patrick is not that young anymore, so the young ones at nationals have someone to look up to, and he'll probably win the competition.
Yeah, a record-breaking, like, 11th or 10th, something like that.
That's insane. And then, speaking of entertaining, we have Keegan Messing, who used to represent the United States.
Yep.
He benefited from being on the national team this season, going to Skate Canada and also Skate America. He struggles with the long program. He has some great short programs under his belt internationally. He can land the jumps. He reminds me of a more controlled Ryan Bradley. Just, like, skates with complete abandonment, goes for every move. Like, when he hops, he doesn't hold back.
Too.
Yeah.
And he can land those quads. I think that's the name of the game. So
I think I watched some of his performances and I figured it out. I think he just needs to stay focused because he gets so excited when he does well. Yeah. So Keegan Messing, he's a podium contender. I'd even put him with the Nam, Kevin, you know. Yeah. And Liam. And then who I wanted to mention to you, this is another surprise. There is someone named Joseph Phan, Phan, and he was the one who won the Skate Canada Challenge over Nicolas Nadeau. And I love him. Everybody watching, and you, Kanishka, look up Joseph Phan. He skated as a junior earlier this season. He is such a beautiful skater. He has the raw skating talent needed. I tell you, Kanishka, good control over his blade, natural body movement. I know I'm saying the same about Aurora Cotop, but it's true. Canada has some amazing juniors turning into seniors. Joseph Phan. And he attempts the quads. They're hit or miss, but a lot of times he is pretty good with his triples. Reminds me of a Nam Nguyen. He's kind of shorter in stature, but very expressive, great body movement. He doesn't have that much more to improve to look like a senior man. So it's all about the jumps. I would even like to say that Joseph Fan could contend for, I'm going to say, a fourth place finish here. Third is a bit much because some of the other guys attempt multiple quads. But hey, if Canadian Nationals for the men's is a splat fest with the quad, Joseph Fan could be on the podium.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see
Yeah.
what happens.
I'm looking at you as if you agree, but you don't know who Joseph is. But I promise, really good
Take a look
skater.
at it right after this.
Yeah. So next up, interesting. We have pairs.
Pairs.
Do
That's gonna be
do you expect Megan Duhamel and Eric Radford to win?
I think that's what the judges want to do. Again, like this season has been so probably not what they were looking for, like
The
to
opposite,
third
really.
place, I think. But I could tell that the Canadian Federation really does want to support them because they are the top Canadian team, no matter what happened at the World Championships last season. And yeah, I have a feeling that the judges are going to go with Megan and Eric, but I really do like Lubov and Dylan. So I think it's safe to say, bless
Oh,
you.
thank you. Sorry, I didn't mute myself.
But I think that it'll be Megan and Eric winning the national title, followed by Lubov and Dylan. And then as far as bronze goes, I think there'll be a small upset there, and it'll be Kirsten Moore-Towers and Michael Marinaro. And then I think that people are going to be shocked when they see Julianne Seguin and Charlie Bilodeau finish fourth. And I love them too. But for some reason, the last two seasons have been giving them a little bit of a, I don't know, struggle.
I
But
completely agree with everything you just said. Those were my predictions. No Canadian pair has been perfect this season on their international outings. I expected Dylan and Lubov to do much better at their Grand Prix. Yikes! I felt like last season was like one of the best seasons they've had, and I expected them to build off of it this season. Did not happen, but Nationals is a totally different ball game. Everyone feeds off of the national crowd. I expect to see a lot cleaner performances. It's interesting to see Megan and Eric make so many mistakes continuously, one competition after another, because usually the thing is they make one mistake at a competition and they fix it for the next one. That hasn't exactly been
I
happening,
think,
but I don't know. I expect them to be crowned the gold medalists here. Dylan and Lubov, I think their side by side jumps are kind of scary, but they're getting better. They will get the higher program component marks than the other pairs. And then I think Kirsten Moore-Towers and Michael Marinaro will edge out for the bronze medal over Julian and Charlie, just because I think maturity will will help them achieve the bronze medal here. I think you know they're not perfect, but they're getting better. They won a bronze medal at one of their Grand Prix events, so they have the ability to skate really well. I think Kirsten is very motivated to make the Olympic team, and I think that's gonna push the team to skate well enough at the Canadian National Championships. Julien and Charlie, I think they haven't really recovered from the injury they had a few years ago completely, and not as in like they're not healed, but they've lost some time training. They're playing catch up. Sometimes they look a teeny bit juniorish compared to the other pairs, but it's okay. They have a long career ahead of them for Canadian skating, and I'm happy about that. So I'm not heartbroken if they don't make the Olympics.
I know it always looks like there's like one team that's like always out with for injury purposes. And in America, it's like the Haven Denny Brandon Fraser story, but in Canada with Julianne and Charlie, because they both have the potential, but injuries are making it a lot more hard for them to
You know,
train.
Kanishka, you better be careful. It's not wise comparing Canadian pairs to American pairs.
Well, I'm just pointing out that there's like injuries that may pull back
Yes.
a top team. That's what I was trying to do. So hopefully, both of those two teams, the American pair that I just mentioned, and also the Canadian pair that I mentioned, like hopefully they can recover and rise again because we know that they have the potential to be great.
Yeah, I wonder what the plan of attack will be for Megan and Eric, if they want to go clean, less technical difficulty, or if they want to like do a run through with going all out with their big elements, meaning like the side by side lutzes, the quad
Quad.
sal throw.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do. However, I don't think it's so much the jumps and stuff. I know that Eric was injured a little bit too, and Megan was too, like earlier this season. I honestly think it's the program. Like, if I were them, I would have probably gone back to Hometown Glory, which brought down the house at Boston. But I think it's the program at this point. But what do I know?
Yeah, I think even at the Grand Prix final during the free program, it looked like Eric was struggling with the lift, like a lift of all things, the program. So I hope that they're healed, healthy, and can have fun at Canadian Nationals. Okay, time for the last discipline, dance. Do we really need to predict this discipline? Because I think the results are pretty straightforward, but we can at least discuss the competitors, Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir. It's not if they'll win. I think it's how they'll win, because how do I put it this way? I'm taking this idea from other people. I'm the least knowledgeable about dance, but in ice dance, especially at international competitions, it seems like reputation and momentum is a big factor. And the French were awarded some really high scores at their national championships. And
At the Grand Prix final.
at the Grand Prix final. And I think if Canada wants to have Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir still have a chance at winning the gold medal at the Olympics, they need to give them a lot of tens for the artistic marks in all five components in both the short dance and the free dance. But it's also up to Tessa and Scott to give the judges a reason to score them that high. Because lately it seems like they're not as clean as they should be, especially considering all of the experience they have.
Yeah, the momentum is kind of like slipping away from Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir at this point on an international scale. We noticed that at the Grand Prix final, where Papadakis and Cizeron, Cizeron from France, they ended up getting world record scores. I think that if they are to contend for that gold medal, they need to skate lights out, achieve the highest of levels in everything that ice dance offers, which is like the twizzles, the rotational lift, the diagonal lift. I'm learning this stuff, by the way. Shout out to Nicole. Because
Rumba dance pattern is required in the short dance.
Yeah. See, like we know a little bit more about this stuff now, but those need to be level 4 or get the highest level attainable in order for them to score a good score. So I hope that they go full out, get all level 4s, because I believe that's the highest level that they have. They get +3 grade of execution on all of those things, and that translates into a high score. So if they can like get record-breaking scores, even in a domestic competition, I think that they will head into the Olympics with some confidence. Because I think right now, even though they don't project that they're depressed or anything like that, I think they feel disappointed that they lost to the French twice now. And
Speaking of the French, sorry to interrupt, but they didn't even skate perfectly at their national championships, and they were awarded some really high scores.
yeah, so I hope Canada plays them up to at this year's national championships, because what you go into the Olympics with is kind of what kind of echoes in the minds of the judges. We saw that during Sochi with Ashley Wagner, like her controversial decision, like definitely hampered her scores that she received in Sochi. So yeah, I wish Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir all the best, and I hope that they get those scores heading into the Olympic Games.
Mm-hmm. Now, Caitlin Weaver and Andrew Poget, I think the name of the game for them is don't lose the silver medal. So don't mess up on the twizzles and do your thing.
Agreed. Yeah, Andrew tends to have a lot more of a struggle with those twizzles, especially in the last couple seasons. I noticed that that's something that they make a mistake on all the time. Beautiful skater, beautiful team. I really feel like it's very cohesive, and programs the last 2 seasons have kind of been like beautiful to watch. And I agree that this is their silver medal to win or lose. And if they can also like go into the Olympics with like a good score, I expect them to fare well between the within the international judges as well. Maybe not on the podium of the Olympic Games. However, a top 5 finish is a possibility if they can win a silver medal here with a good score.
And then we have Piper and Paul.
Gillis.
Yeah. Piper Gillis and
Piper
Paul Poirier.
Yeah, it's French.
Yes, I think the name of the game for them is just to have fun. They're such a good team to watch because they're on when you can tell they're just enjoying their program. They can't get too in their head though. Like, I'm pretty sure they would love the silver medal at Canadian Nationals. Really, just skate to have fun. The Olympic spot is yours.
Yeah, keep projecting outward, project to the audience, and I think that they pretty much have secured the 3rd spot for the Olympic team for ice dance. But yeah, I feel kind of proud that I'm actually like talking about ice dance for more than just 10 seconds.
I know, me too. We still have a lot to learn, apparently, but hey, if you go back to some of my earliest videos, I always skip the dance in recaps and in predictions, so this is a step up for me especially.
Yeah, but I do believe that Paul Poirier and Piper Gillis do have a chance of a silver medal, depending on how the levels form out between them and the 2nd place team that we're predicting, which is Weaver and Poget. However, I think that the momentum is still on Andrew and Caitlin at this point.
That's correct. I think Piper and Paul have been more successful on the Grand Prix season in years past. Not so much this season.
Yeah, I remember like they had like a very disappointing skate one time, and you could tell how much of it affected Piper and Paul. More so Piper. Maybe they can use that performance to like get more angry with themselves and skate better here at Canadian Nationals. Like I know that's kind of how they want athletes to think like when they get so low, like get back up and keep fighting harder and harder. So we shall see. Like I'm going to be paying attention pretty closely this year for Canadian Nationals because they're going to head off to the Olympics knowing that they could win an Olympic gold medal in the team event. And yeah, so I need to pay attention to all disciplines now.
You know what's tough is that it's always hard to follow Canadian Nationals live because there's no broadcast in the United States. And of course, I'll be at Harvard for my work program, so I'll have to be following the hashtag on Twitter. And I think a lot of Canadians don't do like the the live tweeting as well as the Americans do. So I'm like refreshing the hashtag and I'm like, tell me the results, I need to know right away. But yeah, it'll be hectic, and to all the viewers, no promises on any recaps on any nationals. I'll be traveling. If I can, I'll probably be doing them alone in my dorm room or whatever, but yeah, just know that I'm always following skating, looking at the results, even if I don't have time to make a video.
Oh, and one final note. If you are attending the U.S. Nationals, starting later this week. Please try to meet up with me. My Twitter handle is SkateGod, and use it often to catch up with the skating fans. So
Great. Let me repeat that. Yeah, let me repeat that, Kanishka, because you're cutting off and the video is going to record what I see. So Kanishka will be at the U.S. National Championships for the early events, so for the novice juniors. And his Twitter handle is at SkateGod, correct?
Yeah.
And he lives in San Jose. So he will be around the entire time. So reach out to him on Twitter if you plan on being there. All right, Kanishka, thank you so much for joining me for this video.
Of course, yeah. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Sure. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.